All right, fifth grade. Here's Module 2, Lesson 11. And what we're looking at is really similar to what we had in Lesson 10, where we had thinking about what place values we were multiplying by, and then kind of being able to convert it and then think about it a little bit. So this one right here, just as an example, it's saying think about the fact that 2 and 42 hundredths times 100 gets rid of your decimal. Because if you multiply times 100, remember there was 2 zeros here. So what's kind of happening is it's taking this decimal right here and it's moving it over 2 places. So now you have your 242. So if we do that here, if we say this times 100, and then at the end, to come back to what we were working with, we take our answer and we divide by 100 to get there. Then we'll get something kind of more real. So let's start. It's telling us the first thing to do is going to be estimate the product and then solve using the standard algorithm. And it says use the thought bubbles to show your thinking. Draw an area model on a separate sheet if that helps you, that kind of thing. So when we start with this, if I multiply it times 100, I know then it's just simply 242, because I moved the decimal place, times 12. When we think about our estimation, 242, because that's not a 5, I can just say 200. Or we can also look at it as, that's not a 5, so that's just going to be a 2, right? And then if this is a 12, that's pretty close to a 10. Which we would just keep as that. So if we go 200 times 10, we're going to have a 2, and then we're going to have 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. And if I divide that now by 100, then we're going to end up with a decimal place, right? It's going to be, in that case, I'm going to make my decimal in black. So that way it's easier to see. So if I divide that by 100, it's going to take away, I said times divided by 10. What I meant was by 100. So that's going to get rid of those 2 zeros, so the idea of it being 20. And now if we say 2 times 10, that also gets us 20, doesn't it? So at the end, we will go through and we'll undo this. So we did it to start with, just to make it so there's no decimal in here. And then what we can do is to get our clean answer back would be do the opposite of what we started with. So in this case, if we're saying 2 times 2, we know that's a 4. 2 times 4 is an 8. Then we have 2 times 2 again, so we have another 4. That's because we're multiplying times the ones place. Now we're saying in the tens place, so our answer is going to start in the tens place. Because our answer starts in the tens place, we have to say that there's nothing in the ones place. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4, 4. 1 times 2, 2. And then we add them together. 4. 8 and 2, always 10, forevermore. 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 1 gets us 9. We drop down our 2. And now if we say we're going to divide that by 100, what's going to happen is the decimal is going to lose 2 place values, right? So it's not going to be 2,000. It's actually going to be 29 and 4 hundredths. And that's pretty close to this 20, right? Because this one, we lost a lot when we rounded down to 200, didn't we? If we were actually keeping that 42, that would have changed our answer quite a lot. So now, down here, it's kind of showing us, and you'll be doing this stuff in class, where you're thinking about what's going on. So where they use thought bubbles. I'm going to cruise on down here, and we're going to take a look at this, because it's kind of interesting as far as doing some mental math. Use the whole number product and the place value reasoning to place the decimal point in the second product. So this is kind of like what we've done with the do one, check one, where it gives you the answer. So what they've done is they've rounded. Do you see that? It was 1 and 34 hundredths, but then they said times 100. So they've moved the decimal, so it gained 2 place values. So if we went through and we took this answer and we divided it by 100, then we'd go back to the real answer, right? Because what they did is they said times 100 to get rid of their decimal. So let's do the same thing. So if it's 4824 and we're going to divide it by 100, it's going to actually lose 2 place values, right? So that if the decimal is here and it loses a place value, it loses another place value. Your answer then is 48 and 24 hundredths. So when you look at this, think about how many ones can you fit into 36. But it's a little bit more than that. Or sorry, it's not fitting it in. It's if you have 36 times, oh, and let's talk money, $1.34. If you have 36 days, every one of those days you got $1.34. You know 1 times 36 is 36. And then think about every 3 days. 34 plus 34 plus 34. That's a whole nother dollar. So that seems right that it's going to get you 48. Now let's take a look at the next one. This one is if 84 times 2,674 is equal to that, then what if it wasn't 2,000? What if it was 2 in the tens place, 6 in the ones place, and so on? So they lost 2 place values here. They must have said this number right here times 100 so that it goes up to 2,000, right? Because it moved over from the tens place to the thousands place. So if this is the answer, we just lose 2 place values to get to this, right? So if we have 224,616, and if we divide that now by 100, because we figure they must have multiplied before, now let's do the opposite, shall we? So if we're dividing by 100, we're losing that place value and that place value. So our decimal, we have a 6, we have a 1, and then we have a decimal. And then we've got our next 6 and a 4. And then next to our 4, we have 2 2s. 2 and 2. There we go. So that's how that works, as far as just kind of looking at it and going, well, what happened? If it was 26, click the wrong button, if it was 26 and 74 hundredths, and it became 2,000, think about the 2 was here, right, in the tens place. But then it went over not to the hundreds, but it went to the thousands. That's 2 places. So in order to do that, it means we must have taken this multiplied by 100 to get there. So when you've got the answer here, and you say divide it by 10, or divide it by 100 rather, that makes this back to what it once was with your answer. Let's take a look at one word problem, and then we'll take a look at the homework. So if a piece of pizza, one slice of pizza, costs $1.57, how much will 27 slices cost then? So we can look at this as far as like an estimate. Think of it $1.50, right? And if it's 27 of them, that's pretty close to 30, isn't it? So one way to do it is just to kind of think about the zero later. We know that 3 times $1 is $3, and we know that 3 times 5 is 15. So that's actually, if it's 50 cents plus 50 cents plus 50 cents, that's another $1.50, isn't it? So we know that 3 times 1 is 3, so that's going to be $1 times 30 is $30. And then if we've got this 50 cents happening 3 times, that's $1.50, but then we have to put a 0 on it. So $1.50 moves over a place value and becomes 15. So 5 and 0, that I'm adding on what we had. 3 and 1 is 4. So it's going to be about 45 when we're done. Now let's see what we get. So if we have 27 times 1.57, and we want to get rid, I'm going to get some other color here. Let's go pink. If we want to get rid of the decimal, so we want to move over 2 place values, so we're going to say times 100. So now I can just kind of play along and not pay any attention to the decimal because I said times 100. So let's go back to black. Here, black. And then we know that 7 times 7 is 49. Carry. 7 times 5, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. There's our 9. Here's our 3. And now we go 7 times 1 plus 3 is 10. We're done multiplying by our ones place. Now let's go to our tens place. So if we're answering starting in the tens place, we got to put nothing in the ones. 2 times 7, 14, carry, 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 9 and 0 gives you 9. 9 and 4 is 13, because 10 plus 4 would be 14. That's going to be 1 less than that. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. So 4,239. But we know that what we did at the beginning with multiplying, we have to undo. So now if we say divide that by 100, make my division sign a little more clear. Divide that by 100. Here's what's going to happen with your decimal. It's going to move over 2 place values. It's going to make a smaller number. So 4239, very similar to 45, isn't it? All right, here's your homework problems. Cruise on up. What I would like for you to do, this very first one, says use estimation and place value reasoning to find the unknown product. That was that mental math thing I was talking about. Explain how you know, so you can be brief with that. If they have 647 times 63, they end up with 40,000. But what if it's not 6 in the hundreds place? What if it's 6 in the ones place? So you're thinking about, what did they do? Well, they multiplied that times 100. So then you have to divide this guy times 1,000 to get your true answer. The next thing I would like for you to do is pick one, either A or B, and on this one it's just standard algorithm only. That's it. So it's doing it parent style on the math. So do the first one and then pick one of the other two. Thanks for your time.